Welcome back to GA Fan TV. I'm delighted to be joined here by Dara O'Connor from the Sideline View podcast to discuss the Roscommon footballers for the upcoming 2023 inter-county season. We're going to be looking at all things Roscommon football ahead of the upcoming league and championship season, as well as looking back at last year for Roscommon in both league and championship as well. Dara, how's things with yourself? I suppose the championship and the league and everything else, the inter-county season now only a week or so away, so exciting times.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me on, Aaron. I suppose, like as you said there, reflecting back on last year, it was like middle of June when we last played, so it's even longer than it usually would be. Maybe you might get knocked out in July. So I suppose the way we got knocked out last year as well. I'm sure the squad and the new management are eager to even just hit the ground running and put a few wrongs right this year, and hopefully have a successful year. But it's good to be back, a bit of normality again, and it'd be good to get going to games again.
Yeah, you excited for the trials and tribulations of Division 1 football and everything else?
Yeah, well, we're well used to it at this stage. Whether that'll stand to us at this stage, we don't know. As I said, it's a new management this time round, so it's a bit of an unknown. But like you'd have to imagine, playing in Division 1, at least we have experience of it. So you're hoping that we won't be completely out of our depth. I'm sure we're the bookies' favourites and probably most people's favourites to go straight back down again. But sure, we're used to that. But look, they're the games you want. You want to be playing Division 1. Might come around too often as well. You can't take these things for granted as well. Like a county like ours with the population and that. You could be down in Division 3 before you know us. In that kind of way. So you may as well make the most of these days. You're getting 7 proper kind of. They're not championship, but as close you'll get to sort of real good championship games. So hopefully it'll be entertaining. We can pick up a few points along the way, and who knows, maybe finally stay up this time.
Yeah, because I suppose 2 years ago when you were in Division 1, like it was in the group stages, and you're obviously in there with Dublin, Kerry, and Galway. So I mean, it was always going to be tough to even win any of those 3 games. Considering Dublin and Kerry were in there, and then obviously I think it was beaten by Armagh, I think in the relegation playoffs. So I suppose at least now, like 7 proper games in Division 1 rather than the sort of mini Division 1 which it was back then.
Yeah, I mean that didn't really suit us too much, that group. Like, I mean, we were resigned to the relegation playoff even before it started with Kerry and Dublin in the group. I think it was just the manner probably which we lost that Armagh game at the time. It was a really poor performance. I think that year itself was dreadful. It was dreadful. It's one of those years you forget. It was in the middle of COVID as well. It was very small attendances, if any. So yeah, you're getting a proper crack at it this time, and the 2 years before that, we gave it a good go, and we went down on the last days. We were competitive in at least 4 or 5 of the games, which made us go into the championship with a bit of confidence, and we ended up beating Mayo and Galway that year. So I'm hoping the omens for that happens again this year. It should be ideal, but you need that preparation going into that then. When we know we're playing Mayo, but even if you beat Mayo, you're playing Galway then again. So it gives you a really good preparation going into the Connacht Championship, and then the All Ireland stages, then the new stages this year.
Yeah, like in Division 2 last year, I mean, it couldn't, like looking at Division 2 last year, like it was a very tough division, like with the likes of Derry and Galway in there. When you look at the years that they had, obviously both winning their provincial titles, Galway reaching the All-Ireland final. So like getting to Division 1 and as champions as well, like it's probably an achievement maybe that goes under the radar, maybe because of the whole Clare defeat and everything else in the championship and the way the year ended. But like going up to Division 1 as champions, like that's as good as it gets, really, like from Division 2.
Yeah, no, it was a great league. In fairness, I think we got, was it only Derry? It was only Derry we drew to, or something like that. We had a very good record in all the games. Anyway,
I don't think you lost.
No, we didn't lose a game actually. I think I remember now we were the only undefeated team in the country after the league. So it was pretty much flawless. A league performance. But I suppose at the end of the day, you're judged on championship. No one was really thinking about that that league campaign after the Clare loss. That's the lasting memory. That's the last game you have to go off. The way we lost that game. So unfortunately, that's just usually how it works. All the good work is nearly forgotten about. Now you can look back now when we're in Division 1 and say, okay, that was a great cheer. But no, really good again from us last year in Division 2. We're just hovering between the two. We're probably in between numbers 7, 8 to 10, 11 in the country, in and around that. And fortunately, we can't complain, but we're up and down the whole time. But I even remember last year, I think we were 5th favourites to go up. You had the likes of Cork and Meath people even were tipping ahead of us. So it did probably did go under the radar a bit last year, and we did finish ahead of Galway and Derry in the league phase as well. So it was a good achievement. So look, hopefully we can take it into this year, and not. I hope that just that Clare game's out of the minds. I think it's been long enough now. We don't want it to linger too much. It's time to move on, I think.
Yeah, because your record in Division 2 in general is really good. From a Roscommon perspective, obviously, I suppose as you're saying, the last 2 times you've come up to Division 1, gone straight back down. But I suppose at the same time, in Division 2, you keep bouncing back, and that's a hard thing to do for a lot of counties. You see a lot of counties, the likes of Cavan, Derry, even Laois, for example, who tend to go on a bit of a slide. Once you get that first relegation, it could be hard to sort of, come back up again. So it is a positive from a Roscommon perspective that you are finding ways to bounce back when you have been relegated in the past.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can't complain. In fairness, the character of the team has probably been questioned when it comes to championship. But in fairness to the lads in Division 2, they dig in and they know, and then just know that division inside out really. And I think it's the want to play Division 1. I think that they want to play Division 1. Especially the older lads now, maybe coming towards the late 20s. They really want to be playing Division 1. So I think that's the extra incentive. They know how important it is to play Division 1 when it comes to championship as well. To play them higher level teams. If you want to do well, you have to be playing Division 1 really. Not many. I know Galway did get the All Ireland last year, but it's rare enough a team will do much from Division 2. So yeah, you have to give them credit for that. So hopefully the team's in good stead. As I said, it is a bit of the unknown this year with the new management coming in. So but they do want to hit the ground running. I think even heard Davy Burke on Off the Ball saying that that they are really targeting the league, which was good to hear. He spoke. I even said it to a few. He said he spoke exactly how you really want your manager to speak. It was positive. It wasn't on the defensive or the fence or anything. He said, no, Roscommon are a top 8 team. We should be pushing on to semi-finals. He said he wasn't putting pressure on or anything, but he was like, we should be trying to push on and get to a semi-final now and again. So the talent's there. So I'm hoping for a positive year. I think the outlook is good anyways.
Yeah, because it was an interesting appointment, all right, with Davy Burke coming in, because it was one that probably not many people had have predicted. Obviously with Anthony Cunningham stepping down, you were kind of looking at the options, and I think I remember James Horan was one of the names being mentioned, a few other ones here and there. But what were your thoughts on Davy Burke coming in? He obviously has a lot of managerial experience from his time with Kildare under 20s and Wicklow as well, but it's obviously a big step up coming up to a Division 1 team.
Yeah. No, I mean, the manager process went on probably even longer than we hoped for, really. I think Anthony Cunningham took 6 or 7 weeks to decide after the Clare loss whether he announced he was stepping down then. So that was even time lost. I think Mayo nearly had Kevin McStay appointed by the time Anthony Cunningham had even stepped down. So that was kind of time lost. And then it didn't really look like there was too many people interested. I mean, Pat Flanagan seemed to be the name that was being mentioned a good bit, but it just didn't seem like that was going to happen. I don't think within the county it was going to be too popular of an appointment. That was the general vibe around the county, so maybe that had a part to play. It was, and then Davy Burke came in kind of late enough. I don't know, maybe because I said I think he still is the youngest inter-county manager in the country. So I suppose there's maybe that enthusiasm. He wants to prove that he can manage at this top level. He's done. I said he won the All Ireland with Kildare. did a good job at Wicklow. I think he was the one who got them promoted and kept them up anyways. And he's the Maynooth Sigerson, or he's the Maynooth senior team manager, Maynooth University senior team manager as well, and they won the Division 1 league in November, December. So he definitely he's building a nice CV, and he's looking at this job now, thinking that this is the next step in his journey. Whether that's I'm sure he probably has ambitions to manage his home county at some point, but I think he's on a 3-year term, so I think it's definitely more of a project with him, bringing them under 20 lads that were the All Ireland final there a couple of years ago, maybe more so into the fold this year. So definitely positive, and I'm happy. I'm very happy with the appointment. I think he speaks well, and I said hopefully he can bring the good times back again this year.
Yeah, because I've listened to him on a good few podcasts as well. Like, and he's never kind of shied away from an interview, which I think is good. And he does, like, he can see his passion for the game, passion for football. Like, the level of detail he goes in when he's describing the game as well is kind of mental, really. Like, so, he knows the game inside and out. Like, he loves the game. He has that passion, and I think that's what you want as a fan when you're sort of watching a manager on the sidelines or anything of that nature. And I think from a neutral perspective as well, like, I'm very excited to see how he does and how he gets on, because I do think it's a very fascinating appointment.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, you can, as I said before, you can see his enthusiasm for the game. He's a real football man, and he's there with a point to prove, I think, this year. So it's, look, I suppose, like anything, he doesn't really have the experience, no disrespect to Wicklow, at this real top level. Like, you're going up against the Jack O'Connors, the Kieran McGeeney's, even Kevin McStay's has experience under his belt. So you have that side to it, but all you have to do is look at Port Joyce of Galway. He hadn't managed anyone in or like a senior inter-county team before Galway, and you can see that the progress in Galway now that the last few years. So I think it's one of those you have to be patient with. I don't think we can be demanding now everything like Division 1 status secured, Connacht title and all that in year one. But you want to see signs. You want to see, okay, you can buy into the project. You can see the signs on the pitch. We may have lost that game, but you can see we're competitive, and you can see what the team are trying to do. I think that's a lot of it what you're looking for this year as well. You can just hopefully see progress, hopefully see new faces, some of the younger lads, even if they're progressing, for the years to come. So although there is pressure, I think year one you have to give it a bit of a chance at the same time.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Like, because I suppose if Roscommon were to be relegated, it'd be one of them things where, like, for neutrals maybe, and even maybe some Roscommon fans, they'd probably look at it and think, well, that was probably the expectation anyway. It was his first season, everything else, and then if you do stay up, then all of a sudden it becomes, well, Davy Burke's the manager to actually keep us in the league. So it's almost, it's a smart job to come into him anyways. And especially with the fact he's reached the under-20 All-Ireland final 2 years ago, I think it was. So, like, there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he is. You're never in a no-lose situation, but I think in a lot of ways he can only gain from it, from the fact that, it is his first big sort of real, inter-county job. So obviously, he won't want to go badly or anything. So there's never no lose. But as you said there, if we do go down, I said no one expected us to stay up anyways. If we lose to Mayo in the first round of the Connacht Championship, I mean, no one really probably expects us to win that game in Castlebar either. And probably even with the All Ireland stages, it depends on the group, and that probably no one will expect us to finish top 2. So it's about performances, I think, this year, a lot of it. I said, if we can see the progress, I think there will be leniency on the results, just given that the nature that we are in Division 1. I think if it was Division 2, there would be a bit more pressure to at least be up towards the top end. I don't think it'd be probably acceptable to be finishing 5th or 6th Division 2. So in that way, the pressure's off, and hopefully it could work to our advantage that, we're already written off, really, I'd imagine. For Division 1, I said, I don't think too many will be expecting us to stay up. So, I mean, hopefully we can use that as an advantage.
Yeah, and looking at Anthony Cunningham, obviously, when he stepped away at the end of last year, following on from that defeat to Clare, like, do you think it was the right decision in the end? He was obviously in charge for quite a long time. Some good memories, some not so good memories. I suppose maybe more good memories than bad memories with that Connacht title in there. But obviously he'd been there a long time. I think 5 or 6 years. So probably in the end the right decision. Or what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think after that Clare game, I think you probably knew it was up, which is why I think a decision could have been made a bit earlier on the manager. I mean, I know I was probably left up to Anthony himself for what he was doing first of all, but as I said, it took about 7 weeks for it to come. Like I said, Mayo nearly had next day appointed by then, so that was time nearly lost. But I think it was the right decision in the end. I think for both. I think Anthony's given a lot to Roscommon. As I said, you have to be thankful to him. I think, as I said, the Connacht title and 2 Division 2 titles is not to be sneezed at all. So that, I mean, he can definitely look back, with head held high. And I think the fans, we can look back on good days. As I said, beating Mayo away is definitely probably one of my favourite ever Roscommon wins, and then we won the Connacht title as well. He won us our first Super 8 game as well. Probably went under the nose because it was dead rubber, but it was another box ticked. So, but it was the right decision. I think someone needed to come in, and just a new voice as well. I think that's a lot of the thing. If you're listening to the same voice every year, some players might think they're not fancied, and they might just give that bit extra. So I think a new voice this year. Some players might come in with a point to prove that weren't getting a look in under the last management. So I think it was the right decision. I think no one was really too surprised when it happened either. I think we were all expecting it. So I think it was the right decision in the end.
Yeah, and in terms of that championship season, I remember even speaking to you last year, sort of around the qualifiers and whatnot. Like, there seemed to be a lot of promise with Roscommon. Like, I mean, you obviously get to the Connacht final, and you were fairly competitive again against Galway. Although Galway probably won a bit more comfortably in the end, it was still you're playing a very good side in Galway. There's no harm in that. And then the Clare game, which I think a lot of people had Roscommon as favourites, and for about 65, 66 minutes, it was all going according to plan. And then in the final 5 or 6 minutes, it all just fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, the Clare game, it was probably the worst. It probably was the worst ever I've been at. I have to say, it was just, God, it was, Croke Park was dead enough as it was for that day. About 3,000 people at that Clare Roscommon game, I'd say, if even. But geez, when the final whistle blew, it was just, I think everyone was just stunned. Everyone was like a few minutes where no one was even speaking. Like, people either just left straight away or just sat there in silence. It's just one of those games. But to be honest, it was a dreadful performance. In the first half, Clare were by far the better team. I think we got it back to within 2 points at halftime. We got a couple of late points to make it look better. And then second half, we actually played all right, and we get into the position then where we're 5 points up with maybe 3 minutes of normal time to go, or 2 minutes of normal time to go, and that's where you're just thinking. That's where the strange thing is. We should be experienced enough to see that out. Like, it was just one of those. Like, we gave away sloppy free, then we give away the penalty. It's just like one lad maybe go down injured, one lad even just. I'm not condoning, but you see Mayos and Dublins even just get a pull at lad's jersey just to break up the play, because you could see once Clare got that penalty, that it was written for them. It was, they were going to win the game. I said at the time, I think we had a free, and I said this has to go over, because you could see the next Clare point coming, and I did, and we missed the free. So it was one of those that I think, I talked to Jeremy Mercer the week after, and he said it was the longest week and a half he's ever had in football. It was just so deflating, that game. It really, really was. So, we've had, I said, 6-7 months to get over it now. So you're hoping. It's just that, I think, that championship Croke Park thing as well with us. I think that's another thing we have to try and get over. Win a big game in Croke Park. Because I think it's 1980 since we won a championship game in Croke Park, which is staggering stuff when you think about it. So dreadful dreadful end, but you're hoping we can put that right this year in some capacity, anyways.
Yeah, and do you think, because I remember when that statistic's sort of going around, and to be fair, there probably haven't been too many times you played championship games in Croke Park, but
yeah.
like obviously there have been a lot of quarterfinals maybe and different games and everything else where things haven't gone to plan in the qualifiers. Like, do you think it could have been maybe a bit of a mental block, or what do you reckon?
I don't even think that game was probably a Croke Park factor. Like, Croke Park should really actually, for that Clare game, should suit us with the way, the sorts of the forwards we have. He actually should have played to our advantage rather than a tighter pitch may have suited Clare more. So I don't really think the Croke Park thing had too much for that. I just think we were poor after the league final, to be honest. I think we played Sligo. Sligo had a man sent off after about 10 minutes. We weren't, we got the job done if we won by 10 points at the end, but it was never convincing. I mean, the Galway game, the scoreline's more kind to us than the actual game. I think we were quite poor in that game. Galway were by far the better team, and I think we lost by 3, but realistically it was a 7 or 8 point loss. We got a couple of goals late on, and then we just couldn't get going in the Clare game. Started slow and just couldn't get going. Too many of our bigger players didn't perform on the day. Very, very few players performed on that day. And if too many of your bigger players don't perform, then you're susceptible for an upset, and Clare took full advantage. Even though the fact Clare did look like they were dead nearly. When we had them 5 points up, they were showing nothing, and then with nothing they pull off that. So you couldn't begrudge Clare at the same time. But from our point of view, that should never happen. It's an experienced team like ourselves who've been in around Division 1, the top end Division 2 for 5-6 years. That should never happen. So, look, you're hoping it's an experience that they'll learn from, rather than remember the next time, because there will be probably a time where we might be in that position again, and it's just about getting over that block, and hopefully that block is completely gone.
Yeah, because it felt nearly like a boxing match in many ways. It was almost like you were just completely knocked out, and that was it. There was no second chances, and it was kind of mad because, like, I do remember being quite positive about Roscommon and the direction you were going in terms of the football you were playing and everything else. And then before you knew it, you were just out, and it was like, wow, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I said just never talk up Roscommon or any of that, or even when we get to, even when we not even overconfident, but we even get confident, we just always seem to just to never deliver or never get the win. It's almost like when we're not expected to do anything, we can get the results then. So because we were, I mean, exactly, like we bet Galway in the league final, and we just won Division 2. So I suppose rightly so, we were confident enough going into the Connacht final, and I suppose you're playing Clare as well, so you have to be confident. No disrespect to Clare, but if you can't be confident of beating Clare to get to a quarter final, then you wouldn't be a top. I'm not saying we are a top team, but we're a top 10 team. Anyways, like you wouldn't hear Mayo or anyone being too worried about the likes of Clare. So I think we'll just have to learn just to keep it more cool this year, or if we do pull off a few wins in Division 1, just to keep the feet on the ground, because you can never get too carried away in Gaelic football.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a mad game nonetheless, and certainly from a neutral perspective, it was quite crazy sort of watching the final few minutes unfold. But as you said there, obviously Davy Burke's come in as manager, and do you think there'd be much turnover in the team from last year, like many new players coming in or players going out?
Well, I'm only going off his the one interview I've actually listened to was the off the ball one, and he said you'll be seeing younger new faces. You'll be seeing a different thing. Now, how many that will be, time will tell. We can only go off the one FBD game I seen last week. It was a young team that was played, so you can't really look too much into FBD teams. I think we have a few injuries as well, and a few other lads. I think Ulton Harney's gone this year, who was probably our best player last year. He's travelling, and Ronan Daly is gone as well. So I think that's all I've heard, anyways. Just them two that seem to be not playing this year. So, but you have like young players coming in. I think Keith Doyle was on the under 20 team 2 years ago, midfield. He got 2-2 against Sligo the other day. He's really looking like he's going to have a big year, and you can actually see even from last year, like from him even all the way through. Like he didn't start any of the games last year, but he always came on, always made an impact. he's really, you can really see the development in him. So you're really hoping for a big year from him. I mean, he was even the captain last week. Now I don't know who the captain is, but even Davy Burke gave him the captaincy for the Sligo game, and he's only, I think, 22, 23. So it shows why he probably thinks of him already. So he's definitely one to watch. And then, there's a few of the Sigerson players as well, like Dara Craig seems to be doing really well for UCD in the Sigerson, and he got 2-5 last week in one of the games. So he wasn't actually playing in the FBD. I think Davey said that a few of the Sigerson players weren't going to be playing. He's letting them concentrate on that, which is fair enough. You don't want to overwork too many lads as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting against Tyrone, and you have Colin Walsh as well. He didn't play. He was the captain of that under-20 team. So I think there's definitely 3 or 4 of that under-20 team. I think will be there or thereabouts when it comes to starting this year. And then obviously you have the lads that have been there the whole time. Enda and Tony Smith, Kieran and Jeremy Murta. Connor Cox is still there. As it two Daly, I think, are still there. Davy Murray. So you have the experience. I think probably getting that blend this year. Between the youth and experience. You don't want to put too many young lads in there because, especially in Division 1 as well, it's hard. You need. Although it'd probably be nice to see more new faces, younger lads, you still need that bit of experience. You're coming up against even the conditioning of some of these teams like Tyrone and Kerry, and that, like I said, it's a new level compared to under-20 football or even club football. So you need them experienced lads to hopefully bring on the younger lads. But I'm expecting probably 3 or 4 of the under-20 team to be even regulars now, or at least getting a chance in them first couple of league games.
Yeah, as you said, definitely with a lot of the game time in the Sigerson Cup, and obviously game time in pre-season, and then in Division 1, like that kind of does seem the next step up, and it's a great opportunity for them lads to test themselves against the likes of Tyrone, Kerry, Armagh, all the sort of Galway, all the sort of top teams that will be competing for the All-Ireland. They're in Division 1, so a great opportunity for them Roscommon lads to test themselves against those type of teams, which don't come around too often for younger players.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, them under-20 lads that were on that team, I've been probably looking at Roscommon the last 5 or 6 years against these kind of teams in Division 1, and they're probably looking on, and now you're suddenly in the panel and having a chance to even get amongst it. So it's a great opportunity. And as you said there, you could be relegated to Division 2 and you may not get back to Division 1. So I think, especially the younger lads, I think they will come in with the point to prove. I think there's enough of them that have that bit of confidence about them as well. Even just watching last week, they're not afraid to even take a shot on or have to pass to one of the more experienced lads. So I think they definitely have that bit of not arrogance, but sort of in between the confidence and arrogance. To feel like they should be on that pitch, which is good. So it's definitely something to look forward to. As I said, time will tell what team we have out against Tyrone. I mean, at the time we're talking here, we hadn't played Mayo in the FBG final, so what team will be put out there, a few more hints for the first league game might be had. But there's definitely a lot of young players being tested out and in the panel, I'm sure, the last couple of months. So I'm sure Davy Burke will have had a good look, and he'll know himself probably by now who are the lads. He probably has a picture in his head of that Tyrone team, maybe 10 or 11 lads. I'd say at this stage, I'd say is a fair idea.
Yeah, and I suppose if you are to stay up and you are to stay up in Division 1 for another season, like what games do you think Roscommon can win, or what teams do you think they can take points off?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can take points off anyone bar Kerry. I think we've Kerry away, so I'm not expecting anything from that. But like, you have Tyrone at home, you have Armagh at home, you have Donegal at home, and you have Mayo at home. So you have 4 home games there. Now I reckon we probably would need to get 4 points out of them 4 games. And you have Monaghan away and Galway away. So, I mean, the Monaghan game, I keep writing Monaghan off every single year and they keep proving me wrong. So, but naturally enough, that's a game you're looking at and you think, right, that's a realistic chance we could win. We could win that game. We've Galway the second day. And as I said, like we bet Galway twice in the league last year. So there's no reason why we can't beat or get something off Galway. especially early on. Like they may not even have Shane Walsh for that game. I don't know. Will he be given a few weeks off because of the club commitments? So that might be an advantage to us if he's not playing. So like I like realistically, like especially in the height, like Armagh, Donegal, Tyrone, like Donegal as well, are probably a team you're targeting as possibly a team you could finish ahead of, a bit unknown there as well with new management. Michael Murphy's gone. Like, how much of a void will he leave after that? So you're hoping, for our sake, I think there's a bit of transition period up there. And I'm Monaghan as well with a new manager in. So yeah, I think any game bar the Kerry game, I think we have a chance. But let's be honest, we're probably going to be the underdogs in every single one of them, all the same. So it's just about being competitive. But I do think, like, Kildare went down on, I think, 5 points last year, even 5 or 6 points. So you will need 5 or 6 points at least to have a chance. So I'm thinking we will need probably 4 points from the home games, and maybe 2 points from Galway or Monaghan. That's what I'm thinking, anyways, to have a chance.
Yeah, because I suppose you do have teams in transition there. Like, obviously Monaghan with a new management themselves coming in, and they're probably in a similar boat to yourselves, where they've had a good crop of older lads stepping away from the team and younger lads obviously coming in. Donegal are probably about to maybe go through that now over the next couple of years. So, and like counties like Armagh have proven that you can come up to Division 1, you can be competitive, and you can stay up here. Like, and it's not like you come straight up from Division 1 and go straight back down. Like, there is proven teams there who've proven you can do it. So, like, there shouldn't be any reason for Roscommon not to think that they can get victories against those type of teams, because, like, they probably are. Maybe because of the past and because of being relegated from Division 1, they are being looked at as favourites to be relegated. But, like, I would definitely give them a great chance of staying up, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, no, as I said, they're going through the games. Like, I do think we have a realistic chance of getting something out of that. Like, I suppose if you were going up to Tyrone, Armagh, if you're playing them away from home, it might be a different thing. But we have them at home, so especially Tyrone the first day, it's hard to know. Like, I'm sure they'll probably will be looking to hit the ground running after last year. Like, they just never got going at all, Tyrone. So that could be actually a bad thing for us if we're the first team. There might be just a bit of anger in them and want to kickstart this season quick and put down a marker. So be interesting to see there. But I think we drew with them and probably should have beaten them the last, or 2 or 3 years ago when we were in Division 1 at home, when we played them at home. So like, I'd be confident enough going into most of those games. As I said, Kerry is the exception. I think Kerry are. I think especially going down to Tralee for that. That's a daunting enough task to expect to get anything there. So you're probably down to 6 games then to pick up points. But as I said, there's no reason why we can't pick up points anyways. So hopefully we're just, as I said, competitiveness is the number one thing. You don't want to be that team that's just getting hammered week in, week out, and it'd be kind of like, oh, who's playing Roscommon next week? Oh, that's 2 I guarantee 2 points. You don't want to be like that. So I think competitive is number one, but obviously it is a results game. So we want to keep stay up. At the end of the day, we want to see Roscommon do well. So hopefully, going into them last couple of weekends, that we're there with the fighting chance.
Yeah, and looking at the championship season, then, as you said, like, obviously Mayo away, then Galway, then the sort of novelty final of potentially facing a Sligo, Leitrim, or a London. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough route to the final, and everything beyond that as well. So, I mean, it's going to be I suppose a tough way to the final. More so than most other seasons.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's different this year with the Connachts and seedings and all that. I think I think, I don't know, is it official, but I think barring a miracle, we're guaranteed to be in that All Ireland series anyways, because the fact we're Division 1, no matter what happens. So at least we're in that. But regarding Connachts, like, I mean, Mayo away, it's going to be tricky, of course. There's the Kevin McStay sort of side story as well. Obviously, he knows us fairly well from his time managing us for 3 years. So you'll have that. So I mean, it'll be tricky. As I said, no one will be expecting us to win in Castlebar, but I said, why not? Like we did it in 2019 that time as big enough underdogs, and we went there and won. So why not? I mean, it's not ideal having to play Galway then straight away after, but that's the nature of the Connacht Championship. Ideally, you want to play one of them. It's never a great thing to have to play Mayo and Galway in the same championship. So not a lot is expected of us, but look, who knows? If we could even just beat Mayo, I'd be even happy enough with that. If we can get a win over Mayo away in Castlebar, and put up a good showing against Galway, I'll even take that. Like I said, there's not a lot expected, and it's a different year this year with the All Ireland series being the way it is. So it'll be interesting to see though how it all pans out.
Yeah, like I think beating Mayo in any season, I think is a good enough reason to celebrate. Like, but yeah, like as you said there, like obviously the group stage is coming in, and we kind of don't know what way they're gonna go. But I mean, what's the expectation or I suppose plan maybe from a Roscommon point of view? Do you think it is to right the wrongs of last year, get to a quarter final, see where you go from there, or beyond that, or is there no pressure? What do you think?
It's always an element of pressure. I think pretty much for us every year is to get to the last eight. I think for definitely the last, and that's always been the realistic aim, anyways, and the hopeful aim is to make that last eight, which we have done. We haven't done it over the last few years with COVID, and last year we didn't, but we were doing it, consistently enough for 2 or 3 years there before that. So that is probably the aim. Again, it is group dependent really as well, who you get in that group. So hopefully, I mean, if we get to the last eight, I think we're in probably bonus territory then. Obviously, it depends on the draw. Who you could get, you might get lucky with the draw in the quarterfinals, but I think realistically that hopefully that if we can get to the last eight, with a few good performances and hopefully a good performance in a quarterfinal, I think we can look back on this year with real satisfaction, I suppose, and we can at least go in with a positive eye onto the following year, and something to build on, if you like, rather than the Clare loss last year. It's hard to. We've moved on, but it was hard to move on nearly a month ago, or a month after. It was nearly mourning going on, and an analysis after that what went wrong. But yeah, so I think last days is always a realistic expectation for Roscommon. I think anyone else or anyone who says semi-finals or final, I think it's just is being just that bit too optimistic. Anyways.
Yeah. Like I suppose it is a long-term project, as you said, with Davy Burke. So there's bound to be bumps in the road, and obviously with him coming in, as manager, a man who hasn't managed at this level yet at senior intercounty football in terms of managing a Division 1 side and playing in big championship games. So like he's bound to make mistakes, and there's bound to be learnings. But as you said, like a more of a long-term project than anything in the short term.
Yeah, no, it is. As I said, you want to take something from this year. That, I mean, you want results as well, but you want progress, and if that's what even 2 or 3 of the younger lads, you can look back and say, right, they were actually our best players this year, that kind of way as well. You want to grasp onto something. You said, right, I can see what we're trying to do here. We can see where even there's a defensive system in place. There's an attacking football, or whatever route Davy decides to, or style of play he wants to adapt. But you can see what he's trying to do, and the lads are buying into it. And you want competitive performances as well. Like I said, at the end of the day, it is results business. If we do get hammerings in Division 1, and we get well beaten in Connacht, and the All Ireland series doesn't go well, like we could be having a completely different conversation at the end of the year. Like, fans are patient, but yeah, you still have to see something. Like if you're seeing nothing but poor performance after poor performance after poor performance, yeah, it's hard to buy into that. So you're looking to see on the field something to buy into this year, which I would be confident enough on of happening. I think there will be hopefully signs of progress as the year goes on, and hopefully that's coupled with a few good results along the way.
100%. Who's your pick as the best team in the country at the moment to win the All Ireland?
It's got to be Kerry, I suppose. I think they'll probably, they will probably only get better, I'd say, from here on in. As I said, David Clifford, Sean O'Shea, like, what are they, 23, 24? Like, they have a lot. They're not even really, they're not in their peak or anything or prime, the typical sort of 27, 28 mark. So, which is scary to think. And, a lot of the Kerry players came on last year. I think Gavin White, even last year, really came on. Jim O'Connor. In the goalkeeper Shane Ryan, I thought that used to be a problem for Kerry, but he improved no end last year, even with kickouts and steadiness. The backs as well with Jason Foley, Tyke Morley. These lads were coming of age and showing the potential that they have shown at times. So I think I think most people would be saying Kerry. I think they're the last team or the current All Ireland winners. So it's hard to go away from them. And I suppose you're expecting the likes of Galway again to kick on, hopefully for their point of view, anyways. Because I thought Galway got better as the year went on. Every game they improved, a lot. And I was expecting a big performance in the All Irelands, even though a lot of people thought Kerry would win comfortably. I thought Galway were going to really give it to them, and they did. I know they lost by 4 in the end, but you look at the clock, it was 66 minutes or whatever it was, and Galway were level with Kerry, and they were thereabouts with I suppose a dubious enough free that put Kerry back ahead. So I think Galway can definitely, if you're a Galway fan going into this year, you're buzzing. You can't probably wait to get going again, to see this team. To see the likes of Shane Walsh, Killian McDade, who I thought was, brilliant last year. The way he even just came out of nowhere, really, and was one of the best players in the country. So, you're looking at Galway again, and I suppose Dublin with Jack McCaffrey, and I think Paul Mannion is back as well, even though he is injured at the moment. Having them two lads back in itself is massive, and if you can get Con fit and firing for a full season, to go with still the likes of Kilkenny and Fenton, and I think James McCarthy is still there. I mean, he hasn't announced anything, so he's still there. So Dublin will be there or thereabouts again in semi-final. We saw how close they were to Kerry last year, so I think it should be a good year again. Last year was actually a really good year, I think, for the football championship. So I think it will be open. I don't think Kerry are like on a Dublin level where you think, oh, it's completely over. I think they are definitely beatable, but they are the best team in the country at the moment. You have to give them that.
Yeah, I think with the championship last year, it was very competitive. Even looking at the quarterfinals and everything around it, it does feel like a lot of the counties have kind of come a lot closer together. So you kind of get the sense that a lot of teams can beat anyone or beat each other on any given day. Any surprise teams even further down the divisions you think that might cause a surprise or two?
I did say Derry last year. So I was happy enough with that. Yeah. Who? I'm trying to think. I mean, you're always hoping maybe Kildare do something. There's definitely talent there, but I think they're just a bit weak. Maybe a bit. I suppose they're kind of a bit like ourselves, Kildare. Just don't really show it probably when it's needed. That Leinster final last year, there was a lot expected of them. Probably maybe Cavan, I suppose. You're hoping for a big year from them. I think they could come on a bit, and they should be competitive enough in Ulster. I know they're kind of probably bordering between the Tailteann and the All Ireland series, depending on what happens in the league and provinces. But I think Cavan could be banana skin for a few, and I think they probably will get out of Division 3. So, sure, I'll throw Cavan maybe to get into the All Ireland series and do something.
100%. I'm sure the Cavan supporters will take that one anyways. Yeah, well, Dara, cheers very much for coming on. Much appreciated. I suppose if anyone's looking to check out your own show, The Sideline View, where can they find it?
Yeah, no, if you just look up The Sideline View with Dara O'Connor on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or any of the podcast platforms, you'll find me there.
Perfect. Top man, Dara. Much appreciated.